handing over to Duggan.
Let's talk about HX2 and HX3. Now, for those who don't know me, my name is Duggan Withwick. I'm head of research computing platforms. I think before I go too much into the actual new facilities, I just want to remind everyone of what we're trying to achieve and what, in this case, what we actually do is we provide a number of different services that are there to support on-premise predominantly facilities and research around the university for lots of different reasons. And as you can see, we've got things like high-performance computing, accelerated compute, GPU acceleration, for example, for AI workloads, but also importantly, user support. Now, I think it's always important to remind everyone who we are and put some names up, at least, so that they are mostly over in this corner here at the moment. But also to remind everyone that we are actually humans. You know, there's not just AI chatbots at the end building new compute facilities. But aside from putting this one up of who we actually are running these quite sizable university systems, I think it's really important to remember that we are not working in isolation. We are obviously part of ICT, and we are very dependent on many colleagues around the rest of ICT, but also around the rest of the university itself. We are heavily dependent on the support that we get from lots of different groups within the university. So, moving on to the actual HEX platforms itself, Andy's shown this earlier. Originally, when we joined Imperial, it was very much this view of having everything as a single platform, single storage system, one entry into lots of different systems. And what we found is it's a nice idea, but actually everything interacts badly with everything else. You know, there's degrees that you can isolate things, but ultimately, you know, you're jack of all trades and not necessarily master of any particular well. So HX1, as Andy said, was a view to moving away from that single service model as part of these HEX platforms. And you can see that HX1 is the HPC system, the low latency network with InfiniBand for the large jobs. And today I'm going to talk to you about HX2 and HX3. So let's just move that on. So I gave a talk about the new platforms, at least what the plan was at the RCS showcase. I think this was March last year, yeah. And we already knew that we needed to move to direct liquid cooling. We thought we had a data center partner identified for this. We thought we knew where it was going to go. HX2, the design had been finalized. So HX2 is the high throughput system. We were in the process of placing the order. I can't remember if it was actually placed at the time we gave the talk. And HX3, you know, we'd formed an RCS technical advisory group, so this is something new for us as a group, where we receive input from the rest of the university in terms of actually designing the facility to make sure it meets the requirements. And, you know, we had a hardware design that was close to being finalized. We hadn't quite decided what the software layer was going to be on top. So for HX3, as I'll come to, it needed to be something different. Those of you who've been using HPC for a long period of time, you know that actually mostly it's about batch processing. You write your script, you submit it to queue, and it will eventually run. But with changes, and particularly with the large demand for more interactive access to GPU accelerated resources, we did really need something different for HX3. So as it says at the end, a lot has happened in the past year. Including a change of data center partner. So we are now with Digital Realty, who are, I think, represented. There he is. And no, thanks to Digital Realty, I got it right, not Reality, and obviously our partnership with Lenovo and support with NVIDIA, we've made progress. We actually have a data center, and this, I'm pleased to say, is Imperial's first direct liquid cooled facility. These were pictures taken at the launch event in February, and you can also see it's not just a data center that's been fitted out, it actually has the facilities in it. We've got some picture of the actual coolant distribution unit there that can handle somewhere over a megawatt of cooling direct to the chip. This means that there is actually water flowing around the servers themselves. Yeah, I'm pleased to say that we actually have the computers themselves in place. So what do we actually have? Well, HX2, which is our high throughput system, will be replacing CX3 when it becomes fully available to end users. It's around 27,000 plus cores of Intel Granite Rapids, which is one of their latest processors. 96 Hopper-based H200 GPUs, all flash storage. So this is a really important point for us, and we wanted to push hard on this, is that increasingly we're finding that people are trying to process more and more data. And it ends up being the file system ends up being the bottleneck to all of this. And you need to be able to get the data from the file system to the compute, be it CPU or GPU, to make sure it's processed. So we really wanted as fast a storage system as possible. So we've got 2 petabytes of Weka all-flash storage. And I'm pleased to say, as of, there you go, that's what it looks like. As of last month, the system has been formally handed over from Lenovo to us. It's been commissioned. The team are now working very close with groups around the university to kind of make sure it's commissioned properly. So some of you will have seen we're moving to Slurm workload scheduler. So it's introducing that, making sure we have a software platform ready to go. And integration with, so there's going to be a new self-service portal called Recap for adding users to the facility. That's a big change to the way that we actually do identity management on the facility compared to the old services. So this is actively being worked on by, again, this team over here, as well as support from Lenovo and NVIDIA. And we are increasingly getting a list of pilot users who we're hoping to get on the system sooner rather than later and start testing it. So that's HX2. I can see this going orange, so I probably need to hurry up. So HX3 was, as I mentioned, a very different proposition. While fundamentally the hardware was going to be very similar to what we have with the GPU rack of HX2, it needed to do a very different job. But I think actually before we go into that, this was originally a degree of seed money to see what such a facility would offer to the university. It needed to be interactive, it needed to be flexible for teaching as well as research. And even though the platform is physically in place, isn't quite ready for use yet, we've already had an expansion of the system. So the original 64 H200s, we've had another 12. Well, we're at 3 expansions, 2 of which are thanks to a large investment from computer sciences that have now taken us into another rack. So physically, the system now looks like, will look like this by the time the extra equipment turns up. But the big thing is we are providing an interactive access to GPUs using NVIDIA's Run AI platform. So this is a platform designed to be flexible in terms of provisioning, providing access to GPUs when you need it. If you need it for research, if you're not using it, then it will magically move workload between the GPUs and between the processors. It's based on the Kubernetes platform, for those who are familiar with that. And particularly why we picked the Run AI system from NVIDIA is it will very efficiently use the GPUs that are available on the platform. What is also a big change for us is the way that this system will be supported. So the existing facilities have probably generally been supported by the RCS platform teams predominantly. But with this, we will have support from RCS associates, which are individuals across different departments who have a vested interest in making sure the system is well used and provide support from those departments. And they will be receiving, along with us, training from NVIDIA on how to use the platform efficiently. And I'm pleased to say that it is a complex platform to put together, but we're working hard to get it up and running as soon as possible, and we're hoping to have it available sooner rather than later. And thank you. And here's a slide from the thing.